you guys.
Thank you.
There will be no further discipline for Victor Wembanyama after he elbowed Naz Reid in the face in Minnesota on Sunday night. He was ejected for this play. Multiple sources tell me, though, that there's not going to be a suspension, no fine. He will be playing in Game 5 as I am going to try to get this out.
Absolutely,
you guys can have reactions
Yeah, let
right
your
now.
Twitter pop off. Always thank you for directing us on how to respond here, Sean. I appreciate you in the middle of your flow right now. This is a big deal because we had seen elbows in the past, more specifically Meta World Peace's elbow to the head. That was pretty aggressive, got a 6-game suspension. So there was suspension for a potential elbow to jaw situation, precedent for it all. He gets none because it's the first time he's been involved in any of this. I think Wemby sets a tone for people. Like, hey, I'm about sick of the way I'm getting treated, not only to people he's going to play against, but also I think the league as a whole, fans as a whole. And this is great news for me as a fan of basketball to be able to watch him play as soon as Game 5.
As a fan,
we have to. One more thing to just keep in mind. He was ejected for this play, so he basically already missed a significant part of this game. And unlike Ron Artest, aka Meta World Peace from before, there is not a history of these types of plays for Wemby.
Okay, we appreciate the hell out of that. Wemby, can't wait to watch you back on the court. Him saying, I'm ejected, what does that mean? Early in the game. Obviously, that provides an opportunity for Ant-Man to go absolutely crazy on Mother's Day. Loved everything about Anthony Edwards and the way he leads his team, the way he plays basketball, the way he answers questions, the way he's been authentic to himself throughout this entire time. And he's the hell out of you, man. You're
the Western Conference semifinals, 2 games apiece. But back to Wemby and that ejection there in Game 4. Again, ejected very early on, 8 minutes left to go in the second. The earliest ejection for an all-star in a playoff game in the play-by-play era. The list just keeps going. That's his first career ejection, whether it's the regular season or the postseason. And that was the fewest points in a game in his career. And if you had a prop bet on Victor Wembanyama, I feel very sorry for you because that probably ruined your night, especially. Ashley Nicole Moss is back here with us. So, Ashley, we saw that go down. Wemby, doesn't feel like it was intentional. Heated moment. He elbows Naz Reid.
Oh, it was certainly intentional.
You think he meant it to go that far?
It was a wind-up. It was clear.
I don't think he wanted to get ejected.
He definitely did not want to get ejected. No, he definitely didn't want to get ejected. But Wemby's got to practice a little bit more decorum. He's going to throw the people's elbow.
Okay.
Because what happened was,
brazen with the
if you watch the replay, there is a moment where he brings the ball down, he has the ball, he pauses, and then elbows Naz. That Wemby stood up for himself. But there are moments, like I said this earlier, is I'm all for the physicality. I'm all for players letting know, especially the young players, because sometimes you get picked on out there. Sometimes, they want to remind you that this is a grown man league and welcome to the big leagues, my guy. But I think you also have to think bigger picture. And Wemby brings so much to the game that when he is not on the floor, the Spurs feel it, and that's exactly what happened in this game. You look at what the Timberwolves did, and they did it phenomenally. They responded, to Wemby's absence extremely well. They held the Wolves to 20 points in the third quarter, scored 28, got 9 points off of their turnovers, and had more points in the paint than them. All these things that possibly could have been avoided if Wemby was on the floor if you're San Antonio. So, Wemby, I understand you got to stick up for yourself and let them know you're no punk, but this is a playoff series and every game counts. So I'm kind of 50-50 on this.
Okay, we do have some breaking news that just came down. The league office has decided to not suspend or fine Wemby for that. That was a flagrant 2, by the way, in the second quarter of Sunday night's game where he elbowed Naz Reid. Are you surprised on the no fine aspect of it as well, or does this all check out?
Definitely surprised on the no fine, but also it is his first offense, so it might be the benefit of the doubt. He's also an all-star. He's Victor Wembanyama. He's one of the biggest. He's one of the biggest prospects we have seen since LeBron James. I think there are a few things that come into play. I know people will not like it, but not everybody drinks the same Kool-Aid. There are some of us who get better flavors because of what you bring to the table, and Victor Wembanyama brings a lot to the table. The series is not the same without him. I think the league knows that, but more importantly, all jokes aside, it is his first offense. This is not somebody who chronically goes around elbowing people in the throat. You got to give the young guys some grace.
All right, let's get back to the series because, as you mentioned, all of a sudden the Timberwolves have fought their way back. They even the series 2 apiece. You mentioned all the ways they have been able to do it. You also said it's been the most exciting series for all of us so far to really watch. How do you expect the rest of this to shake out?
Well, look, Wemby avoided a fine. and you know, a suspension.
Yeah.
So he's coming back with a vengeance. I think he'll keep his elbows to himself. Look, the Spurs are a really good team at responding, and I have said this about San Antonio. They remind me so much, and I think it just has to do with the DNA of the San Antonio Spurs organization. They remind me so much of the Ginobili, Parker, Duncan Spurs in the sense that they're never rattled. They're never too high or too low. They're very even-keeled. And for such a young team, an inexperienced team, this was never going to be a walk in the park for the Spurs. But hey, you want to make it to the conference finals and you want to face the reigning champs, this is how you got to get there.
Yeah, so game 5.
Best, Shams. Oh, draft. Let's talk about draft really quickly. NBA draft, obviously a massive ordeal.
Are you going to ask me about Giannis real quick or no? You're going to ask me about Giannis real quick?
You tell me. Dude, is there something about Giannis?
We do have some news on Giannis. I'll say this. I'll try to make it as shortened as possible. Sources tell me the Milwaukee Bucks are fully open for business on trades and offers around Giannis Antetokounmpo as we enter the NBA draft combine this week. And we're 6 weeks away from the NBA draft itself. Bucks owner Jimmy Haslam said just last week that there will be a conclusion to this saga. It's been a 12-month ordeal for all of us.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Haslam said there will be a conclusion to this that will either result in him signing a long-term extension or a trade. But the conversation, any conversation that the Bucks are going to have with Giannis Antetokounmpo, from my understanding, it's going to be a very simple one. Do you want to stay here long-term and commit long-term in June? The answer from all accounts is going to be no. And at that point, the question is going to be, where does Giannis want to go? Where does he want to play for and commit long-term? Because he's got just one guaranteed year left on his deal. You guys know this, especially in the NBA. That gives a player of this caliber a ton of leverage, a ton of sway on where he ends up. John Horst, the Bucks general manager, has done everything. And I'm talking about everything the last 10 years to try to put together a winner around Giannis. They've traded for Drew Holiday, all of their draft picks. They've traded a bunch of assets away for Damian Lillard. They did the largest stretch and wave of a player in NBA history when they stretched Damian Lillard's $113 million contract. They put that on their books for the next 5 years, and then they went out and signed Miles Turner to a $108 million deal. They did that all to try to win around Giannis. The reality has been setting in, though, for the Bucks. And now they're going to do their best to work with Giannis over the next several weeks. And there's going to be a bunch of teams. Miami, Golden State, the Lakers, the Timberwolves, the Cavaliers, a bunch of teams playing in the playoffs right now, teams that are out of it. And we'll see over the next 6 weeks, as Jimmy Haslam said, what happens with Giannis.
Okay, I appreciate you still on the Giannis beat, as the Greek freak speaks through sources, his team, the team. I don't know who all leaks information, but I do appreciate that it's seemingly...
I'll do it. Source
says. From all angles, they got to get that figured out, obviously. And Jimmy Haslam of the Cleveland Browns and also University of Tennessee Volunteers, I do believe. He said he wants it done by the draft. When is the draft?
The draft is June 23rd and June 24th.
All right, we got some draft lottery conversations to have because I'll tell you what, I don't like it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Senior Insider.
I was there last night. Let me give you a quick rundown. Okay. The Wizards, the #1 overall pick. They've been rebuilding. They get the #1 overall pick. The two big stories, though, from the draft lottery. The Pacers, they dropped out of the top 4, meaning that their top 4 protected pick went to the Clippers. The other big story, the Utah Jazz getting right back to the top of the draft lottery. They slid the last couple of years. They ended up with a #2 pick.
Okay, we appreciate that, Shams. You're the man, ladies and gentlemen. Senior